I'd like to welcome you here. I see we have 3 new people, and I'm glad to see you. There's a few more people on the way. We just started meeting a few months ago. Each one of the meetings there's been new people. Things have been a lot of excitement. The focus of Opportunities Knocking is to create a community that's focused on enhancing careers. Whether that's looking for a job, whether that's increasing your sales, whatever that means to you. We have what I consider to be a novel way of networking, which I call SpinNet, which allows you to quickly meet everybody in the room. Now, if you had 50 people in the room, that would mean a lot more. Nevertheless, you have to introduce yourself in front of people that you don't know at each one of the tables, and that's valuable. You get a more intimate environment to get some feedback, to get better at it, and then when you go for your job or that sales opportunity, you'll do better. There we go. Today's agenda, we're already late. My presentation is going to be on handling the salary question, which was suggested by Marty Malley, who's not here yet. At previous meetings, I asked people to let me know what they'd like to hear, what would help them. And this was a suggestion that Marty made, so I decided to do it because John O'Neill is going to be presenting on how to present for all seasons a job interview guide, how to ace an interview. So the two things seem to go pretty well. We're going to have a break at 6:45 approximately after a short Q&A. And then at 7 p.m. we'll start SpinNet. And we'll probably get a couple of rounds. And we'll be out of here. Officially the program will end before 8. And then we keep the room till 10 to meet some of the people in person, talk to them in more detail, whatever makes sense, and have some more refreshments. So, without further ado, I'll go the right way. Handling the salary question. So this is a new phase in my presentations. Before this, my focus was on how you do the research, how you find the company, how you find the hiring manager, and now we're at the interview phase. This is one of the questions that's very difficult to handle when you go for an interview. The one thing that I want to stress before you even start is, there's nothing that says that you have to answer all the questions that are posed to you either in writing or verbally. So when you get that application and it asks you to fill in the blanks in the application for salary, you really don't have to do that. You can't lie. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you don't have to fill in the blank. Now, even before you get to the interview, a lot of times they'll ask you to send a resume and a salary history. And I've never, ever sent a salary history, ever. I've been invited to lots of interviews. It's never stopped me from getting an interview, as far as I know. It's actually sort of it's a gate. There's a lot of gates that are put in front of you before you get that in-person interview. This is one of the potential gates. So you can get rid of this gate if you don't include it. And if your resume fits a job description well, it's not going to make any difference. They'll call you in anyway if they're going to call you. Again, the salary application. Don't ever rely on an application because it becomes a legal document. And if somebody decides that they want you out, they'll scour through everything that you've ever signed in the company and find something that's inconsistent, and then they'll fire you. So don't ever lie. But it's not lying to not fill in one of the blanks. A lot of people think you must fill in everything they ask you to fill in because we're programmed that way from the time we're 5 years old. Follow instructions, stay within the lines. What I teach you is not to stay within the lines. That's the whole focus of all my talks, is to color all over the page and not stay in the lines. But don't lie and don't commit fraud and things like that. So you have to know how far you can go and how you can do it, and that's one of the things that I'm pretty good at. So I would never put salary, never put past salary. I've never done it, and it will eliminate one of these gates. If your salary is too high on the application, your interview may never happen. May go to HR, they show the hiring manager, oh, he's too high, he gets paid $200,000 a year. We want somebody that doesn't get paid a penny more than $189,000. So you're out, because they think you'll never take $189,000. Maybe this environment you might, but what they want is, they want somebody who's going to think a 5% jump in pay is going to make you really want to take the job. You'll be happy, they'll be happy, and maybe they can pay you less. So that's why I wouldn't put this in. I would not put the salary in. Okay, so let's say you're let's say you didn't fill in the blank on your application, and the hiring manager says, hey, why didn't you fill in past salaries, or how much did you make your last job? I've had many hiring managers say, how much did you make your last job? And a lot of times I get by it by just saying this job is so different than the job that I had that I just didn't think it was relevant. And that has worked every single time. Anytime I've used that line, it has always worked, because they sort of don't know what to say. It's just too direct. But let's face it, if you were a junior engineer somewhere and you were going for a job as a principal engineer somewhere, I talk about engineering because that's my education and my daytime profession, there's a big difference in responsibility and expectations, and with that comes a commensurate salary. So I don't think what I made before really matters. I don't know how much more you want me to do. And another possible answer is, I don't fill in the salary because it may or may not be relevant. And in the past, if they really press me, I say, look, in the past what I've done is I've filled in all the blanks after you make me an offer. Because if what they're looking for is that legal document, fine. Just make me an offer. When we have a deal, I'll fill it all in afterwards. And that usually makes them happy too. So in general, don't give up your salary hand until it's pried out of your hand. It's a standard negotiation fact that the first one to throw out a number usually gets out negotiated. Now there's exceptions, but if we're in a negotiation and there's a long pause, and I say $100,000, then usually the other guy will get a slightly better deal than me. It'll be close, but it's pretty much a fact. So don't be the one to say how much you want. Keep stretching it out like taffy until the very, very last moment. And ideally, let the hiring manager make you an offer based on your value to the organization and market value. That's really the way it ought to be done from our standpoint. From their standpoint, they want you as inexpensively as they can while still keeping you motivated. But they still want a good deal.